What does it mean to take our power back? What is our power anyways? Power is energy. Taking our power back is necessary to be able to create a life that we enjoy and that is worth living. It's what allows us to create from the desires of our heart that the divine put there as our compass towards our purpose. You see, humanity is far more powerful than we realize. Sometimes so powerful, we're even scared of it. And yet it's time to either awaken or reawaken to the power that you have been gifted. Yes, it is true that the secrets to how to use our power, or even just how to play this game called life, have been kept secret from us for various reasons. One of which is to prevent it from being misused and abused. Those who have ill intentions or are driven by egoic desires will not fully understand how to utilize your power. And that is a protection mechanism to make sure that it is only used for good. And yes, it's true that we want to understand how to take our power back so we can do things like create and manifest, because we are creators made in the likeness of our creator. But it's so much more than that. We are also transmuters and able to direct energy. That means that we are able to take something that is negative and turn it into something positive. We do this by learning how to work with the light. And this requires understanding where we are at in the order of things, where we are at in the hierarchy of things. God created the universe and the universal laws so that there is structure and order. And just like there are laws in a city or town or state or country, there are laws in the kingdom that we live in. We have to understand the order of things and the universal laws. And the good news is we are at the top of the hierarchy, the top of the food chain, if you will. And that means there is so much more available to us than we have ever previously realized. If you're feeling hopeless or stuck, powerless or in despair, voiceless or lacking agency, even just irritable, depressed, or anxious, these could be signs that you have given your power away. So let's jump into the 13 steps on how to take your power back. Step number 1, remembering that you are a sovereign being. And that means nothing in this realm outside of our creator has power and authority over us. It's also important to remember that we have free will, and that free will is absolute. No one can control you. No one can make you do anything you don't want to do. And yes, through influence, through pressure, through coercion, it can be made to seem like we have to do things that we don't want to do. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is our choice to give into that pressure and to comply. Step number 3, remembering that we were given dominion over the earth. And that statement was clarified by articulating that everything that swims in the sea and everything that walks on the land is under man's dominion. And the term dominion simply means under our control. That again means nothing can touch us. Nothing can control us. Our free will is absolute. So whether it's the bad boss at work or the governor of your state, the president, a king, a queen, or even dark entities, while they want to influence you and put pressure on you to make you feel like you're under their control, it actually is not true. It is our choice to give them control because of the pressure that they apply. But this is where it gets fun. When we start to realize that they are actually under our control, that they do not have a right to influence our free will, that's when they get scared and run. There are stories in the Bible about demons who were terrified by the sheer presence of Jesus. And at the same time, we were promised that we could do as many wonderful and great things as Jesus did and more. In fact, that came with the promise that God would answer our prayers and would do whatever we asked of him within his will. So remember, you have rights and they have to ask for your permission. They cannot act without our permission. And so that leads us to the next step. How do we give permission? How have we been giving permission and not realizing it? Well, belief and choice are first and foremost on that list. If we believe that someone or something has power over us, we are giving our power and authority to them. But it can also be a little bit more subtle. If we don't say no to something, our silence is compliance. If we turn a blind eye and pretend we don't see something, we are giving consent. We have have to learn how to say no. We need to likely start with the belief that we get to say no first, and then speak that no out loud with authority. We also want to identify the open doors. How do we let them in? Your eyes, your mouth, your ears, everything is a gate. They are all gates, and we are allowing things in. And when I choose to listen to music that is programming my brain and my subconscious with limiting beliefs or positing negativity and yucky energy, then that is consent. I am allowing that in. I am giving that permission to influence me. When I allow my eyes to bring in negative scenes, to view violence, or to observe the mistreatment of someone else and not do anything about it, I am allowing that in. Those are open doors or open gates. The same goes for ingesting food or drink that is not good for you. I am therefore giving permission and consent to those people who are not doing the right thing, who are not making good choices for my body or for the body of humanity, therefore the body of Christ. So the next step is understanding, where have we given our power away? We can very quickly and easily do this by recognizing what triggers me and what do I fear. Every time you go through life and something causes an emotional flare-up in your body, you can start to notice, I have given power to that thing. If an unexpected bill shows up, I have given power and authority to money over me. I have even sort of made it an idol by saying that it's somehow elevated above me. I have decided that it has dominion or power over me. And at the same time, it is important to be discerning, to start to identify what can I control and what am I not able to control. Yes, we as humanity have dominion over the earth. We have sovereignty over our own beings. No one can control us. And yet that also means that each individual has their own sovereignty and their own ability to control their own lives. And so we have to recognize, sweep in front of your own door, but there is a limit to what you can control. Mind your own business and stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. That is not under your control. We can acknowledge that each individual is a child of God. Their body is also a temple for the Spirit, just as ours is. They were made with purpose and intention, just as we are. And that also means that they may have a separate or different path than you do. And it is none of our business to try to manage someone else or to try to tell them what is right for them. Only they have access to their own emotional guidance system and their own connection to the divine. And so we have a responsibility to honor their sovereignty and to manage our own internal environment and allow them to do the same. We give our power away when we are trying to control other people because it is outside of the realm of our responsibility. And as we bring our focus back in on ourselves and worry about the multitude of things that we will have to manage, there's more than enough to focus on within ourselves. We also have to be discerning to acknowledge, what am I trying to avoid? What are the things that I can control that I'm not putting my focus and attention on? What am I hypersensitive to or hyper defensive about? What am I avoiding? What is in your way is the way. The thing that you fear or the thing that you avoid is the task at hand. Focus on what you can control. And again, when we are focusing on things that we cannot control or that are outside of our realm of responsibility, we are wasting our power and our energy. If anything, as we focus on problems that are outside of our control, we actually help them grow and become bigger. So focus on what you do want to create and what you can control. And if you find yourself feeling disempowered or somehow smaller than the challenge at hand, find a new resourceful perspective. Do a little dance around that thing and find a new belief, find a new thought process that allows you to have a sense of control and power in it, because it does exist. It's just your job to find it. Next, standing in your power means being authentic. They used to say that love was the highest vibration, but come to find out, authenticity is the highest vibration. Notice the Hawkins scale of consciousness and the different states of being will be correlated to the different levels of vibrational frequency and are also directly correlated to being able to step into your power and authority. When you are in anger or despair at the bottom of the spectrum, you are disempowered. When you are in love, confidence, authenticity, you are at the highest levels of empowerment. And if you struggle to do that, you may need to integrate your shadow. Look at your unhealed traumas. Look at the beliefs that live within you. Understand how to utilize the gift of the trigger. Really work with your body. And as I mentioned, your body is this temple of the spirit. God lives within your body. Your body naturally wants to help you heal. So just utilize your body. So learn how to work with the body. You can utilize one of the free trauma spotting sessions that is linked down below. Otherwise, lots of courses and resources available through this channel. Remember, the body keeps the score. No amount of cognitive processing is going to heal that trauma. We have to work with the body. I also utilize something called parts work and inner child work, energy healing. Trauma spotting is an amalgamation of all the different things that have worked for me. And the best part of all, it will even help reprogram your subconscious. As we heal those wounds and reunite those fractured and lost parts of ourselves, we step into authenticity and we rediscover who we were made to be before the world changed us. This is what allows us to realign to our original design, fully step into empowerment in our highest timeline, and become the man or woman that God made you to be. The next step is understanding that life is a mirror. And as much as that can really suck for those of us who were in challenging environments, hearing the phrase that as within, so without can feel very disempowering. It can feel very frustrating and confusing when we don't understand, why do I keep recreating more of the past, more of the same? How do I make this stop? This requires the understanding that life is a mirror, and those difficult circumstances or those things that we keep creating from a subconscious, old, likely unhealed trauma place are the gifts that help us see where the healing needs to be done. So stop looking to the external environment for evidence of your progress. Look to the external environment for what needs to be worked on internally. Know that this is an inside job. And as you work to heal your internal environment, then you will see the shift externally. And simultaneously, while we do have to do the internal work and the external shift will come about because of that internal work, the wonderful good news is you don't have to wait. Your miracle is here now. The things that you seek are here now. It is your power and authority and your gift and your responsibility to say, it is here now. The human eye is only able to allow in 0.0035% of reality. That means that the financial resources or the love or the health or the wealth or everything else that you seek is already here and available to you. It is simply a matter of allowing yourself to receive it, to let it in, and to command your power and authority to say, I know it's here and I will see it now. I call in grace now. I call in provision now. I call in health and healing now. And it is the certainty within your body that knows it is already done that allows you to start to access it. You don't have to fix yourself. You don't have to wait until you're perfect. You don't have to lose weight or become a better person. Yes, certainly the internal work has to happen, and it is the internal work that will allow for the external shift. But at the same time, you can start to command it in your life to present itself now. And notice this belief that will come up. It doesn't work for me. It happens for everybody else. I have a bad design. My astrology is too challenging. Somehow we, as those of us who've experienced complex trauma, have a unique ability to be certain that everyone else gets good and we don't. But I'm here to give you good news. You are not any less qualified. You are not any less capable. You are not less lucky or less gifted. It is solely your belief that that is a problem. And now I will say that carefully, because if you have unhealed trauma, if you have a little 2 or 3 or 4-year-old inside of you who decided that needed to be true for you to survive, they're not going to let go of it until you close that stress response in your body, learn to utilize somatic healing, learn to heal your trauma so that they will let go of that belief and you can step into the knowing that I'm a lucky girl right now. So start to try on that belief. It gets to work for me now. My miracle is already here right now. You can even identify a symbol. I love butterflies and dragonflies and rainbows. Anytime I see one, I know that is God's message. That is the universe responding. Your miracle is here now. That allows the evidence to start to come to you now, because of course the brain always is looking for evidence. So that can be extra helpful. This is part of how we take back our power and control. There's the woman with the issue of blood, a biblical story where thousands of people were surrounding Jesus and they were so closely butted up against him that many people were touching him. But the woman with the issue of blood, she had been bleeding for 12 years, spent all of her money seeing all of the doctors, and no one was able to heal her. But she believed that if she touched the hem of Jesus's garment, she would be healed. And as she crawled through that crowd and she touched the hem of his garment, Jesus said, "Who touched me?" Which seemed absurd by all the people around him bumping up against him. But no one had the belief that touching him would heal them. And so he turned to her and he said, "Woman, your faith has healed you." So if you find yourself as a practical type A, logical, grounded person like I was for a long time, and you're sitting here with a critical mind going, "Oh, this is all nonsense, this woo-woo silliness," it is actually founded in science. And it is your critical disbelief that will keep you from experiencing it. To those of you who are naive and easily believe, you are so lucky. Congratulations. It is your belief and your faith that will heal you. So take your power and control back by choosing to believe your miracle is here now. And trust yourself. Trust yourself to have the internal guidance. Trust yourself to have the ability to connect and create intimacy with the divine, to create an intimate relationship with Christ and your creator, to be able to wield this power and authority, because that is a key component of being able to step into your full power. We have to have that relationship with the divine. And know that it's okay to be a beginner. It doesn't always work right out of the gate. We have to start somewhere. And it is our willingness to be a newbie or to be a beginner and to be willing to understand we have to have a growth mindset to be able to step into this without giving up and throwing the little toddler tantrum that says, "See, it doesn't work for me," and then just quit. Be willing to be a beginner, create your relationship with the divine, and start to learn to take your power back. And also know it is a very common trauma response, and especially typical of a functional freeze state, for us to have put ourselves down at the lowest level of priority, which means we have also elevated others above us. And so if we perceive society or humanity or other individuals or authorities, governmental officials, however you see it, if you have put yourself down here and them up here, you have again given them power and authority over you. This is a very common experience for those of us who've experienced complex trauma and felt at the mercy of someone who did not treat us properly. So the first step, take your power back, elevate yourself up off the floor, bring them down off of the pedestal, make yourself equal to your brothers and sisters. Every single person on planet Earth is an equal child of God and has equal access to the power and authority that we have been gifted, provided you move into relationship with the divine and utilize the steps outlined here. It is also important to remember that no one is coming to save you. And as much as I hate to be the bearer of bad news, I again can relate to being the little girl who wanted her knight in shining armor to come riding in on a white horse and scoop her up out of that toxic family environment. But it never happened. You know who the person was that saved me? And my relationship with the divine. Ultimately, I had to make the choice to have relationship with the divine. And then it was Christ and the relationship with God that elevated me up out of that place. But nobody could do that for me. No one could come save me. And this is where it gets fun. Know that your words create. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was the very first thing that started the process of creation. Remember that your words cast spells, right? Spelling. The etymology of words can be very enlightening when you start to look at what are the words that you speak. What is the story that you are telling yourself? Have you convinced yourself that you are a victim? And if you are stuck in the victim triangle, whether you're the victim, the perpetrator, or the rescuer, we want to get out of the victim triangle and become that sovereign being that we started with. And we can take our power back by understanding, how do I subject myself to this position? How do I allow myself to be treated in this way? How could I prevent it going forward? We want to learn to tell a new story and command again with power and authority the story we want to create. Get clear on where you limit yourself. What do you say when you talk to yourself? What are the subconscious stories and the beliefs that drive them? And it can be especially fun to notice how perfectly life has been working for you. If you have a belief that life is hard, or that people can't be trusted, or that relationships hurt you, and that's what you experience, I'm sorry for your pain, but at the same time, you can also be very grateful for the evidence that life is working perfectly for you. How powerful you are to be able to create these things. And then start to recognize your ability to call in something new through your beliefs, through your trauma healing, through commanding with your words, through insisting with power and authority, through relationship with the divine, that I am a child of God, you cannot touch me, and also I command grace. I command provision. I command peace. I command joy. Call it in with certainty. Utilize those words powerfully. It's time to start claiming God's promises and your birthright. Declare it as so. Declare it is already done. And this is what they mean when they say live as if, because we know it is already done. We have already received the promises. All time is now. And that means at some point it has already been completed. So live as such, which of course will lead to gratitude and awe and how amazing life gets to be. And we are no longer victim to a life we have to live. We are excited and loving the life we get to live. And if you feel that there's powerful resistance, command with authority that those spirits be gone. Command and bind them, cast them down, crush them under your feet. Use some sort of neuro-linguistic programming to see that visual in your mind's eye and make that thing that seems like such a big shadow on the wall, this tiny little mouse that gets put in a cage and shipped away. And this is where it really gets fun, because when you do fully take back your power and authority, you've learned to command provision for your needs. You get to be empowered. You get to rediscover who you were made to be before the world changed you. You get to relearn who you are, identify your gifts and your purpose, and step into the fullness of the life that God has created for you. To quote Amanda Francis, it is safe to trust the guidance of the desires of your heart. Joy is your compass. And when you learn to ask the Father to meet your needs within the will of His purpose, things will start to open up for you. Start to ask questions like, how can I be of service? What have I learned how to overcome that I could teach others? And sometimes even those lower emotions like jealousy and envy can help us see if I desire something, if I find myself having wishful thinking around something that someone else has or is or does, then that is evidence that that is within me too. And there's a part of me that is trying to call that forward. And if all of those things seem difficult to access, then go back to the trauma healing piece. That's where your stuckness is coming from. Most importantly, learn to balance your power and authority and keep it within the will of the divine. This is why it has been hidden, because if you try to utilize these things from an egoic place, it will not work for you. But it is a co-creative process, and that means you play a significant role in this process. And that can be one of the difficult pieces to find the delicate balance for. There is a felt sense of how to do this. How do I learn to bring in my power and authority, to ask and to follow the guidance of the desires of my heart, to recognize that I am not subjected to complete self-sacrifice so that I can try to save the world and therefore prove that I am deserving because this is a noble cause. That actually won't work. Yes, there is an element of selflessness. There is an element of sacrificing the egoic desires, but at the same time, your needs, the way you've been designed, the things that you need to thrive are part of your design that were given to you by God. And so learning to feel into what is right for me and to be empowered enough to ask for that, to know I deserve that because that's the way God made me. That's your portion in it. Recognizing from a humble place, God, I really do need these things to be able to thrive and survive. And now show me your will. What is your will for my life? What is your will for my purpose? How can I contribute to the collective whole of humanity to bring about love and peace and heaven on earth? And as you start to marry those two, that that's when things really start to click. But just recognize that waiting on God to do it for you is very disempowering. It puts you in a position of victimhood. God wants us to learn how to utilize our power. God gave us agency, and God works through other people. There were times biblically in stories where the people were praying and God's response is, take action, do something, move. You were given feet to walk. You were given hands to work with. Understand how to ask for guidance and balance that with your own divine design that guides your heart. It is a delicate balance, so learn to play Marco Polo with God. Check yourself. Ask yourself, is the ego in the way? Am I being driven by selfish pride? Am I truly coming from a place of, God, I need this. I need to be seen. I need to be heard. I need to be cared for. I need to be loved. I need to have provision. I need to have food. Those are okay desires. Those are okay things to ask for. And then ask, God, how can I do this within your will? What is your will for me today? Ask for your daily bread. Remember that your focus and attention is enough to create worlds. There is a reason we live in an attention economy right now. People recognize that your attention is the most valuable currency that exists on planet Earth. Manifestation and creation come through focus, attention, emotion, and the energy that you put towards it. This is an energy conversation. Your power comes through your energy. Learn how to utilize and manage your energy wisely. Our power is focused energy. So we have to learn how to wield our power and our energy consciously. And if you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle, you feel like there's always resistance, you feel like something's always going wrong, you might want to check out my spiritual warfare video to see if you're dealing with any lower energies. I love you, my friends. I will see you on the next one.